Okay, this is Dawn Burke at the Rat Retreat, and I'm trying to do this with one hand, so it may not be great. But I'm following Debbie Ducommun's book and just some experience that I've had with other stroke victims, tumor victims. This is Pierre, and a couple of days, he had gradually been losing weight. First of all, I'm going to try to move him away from the camera and see his little baby-like behavior. He had, I think he had a brain tumor. A few days ago, it was just, he was so underweight. He had gradually been losing weight, and he was underweight, and it seemed like he was having a hard time eating. So we pulled him out and put him in our hospital area, which you can read or look at on YouTube. And the last couple of days, he seems to have been getting better. He certainly had a lot of appetite, but see this peripherin around his eyes? He kept having a lot of peripherin around his eyes, so every night I've been cleaning him. I bottle fed him last night. He's been eating soft food from a dish. We've been blending his food. And then tonight I found him, and he was just very limp. I had fixed some food for him, and I tried to sit him up to eat it, and he seemed very limp. See how he's chattering? He's been chattering, and he's trying to clean his eyes. Like I put a little polysporin around his eyes to help break down some of the peripherin. And he wants to clean himself, and he's chattering, but he was kind of wiggling his feet around like he may have been having a seizure. Oh, that's the first blink I've seen in a while. So I looked it up in Debbie's book, and she suggested that if you have, obviously he's had a stroke and was possibly having a seizure. And so she said don't give up on stroke victims, and she suggested feeding them 3 times a day, keeping them clean and warm. We've already been doing that. So what I did tonight was I took the polysporin, and I've done it twice around his eyes. My guess at this is that his eyes are leaking because he does have a brain tumor, and it could be a stroke. Who knows? There's been so many, oh, look at that. There's so many different possibilities. According to Debbie's book, all his symptoms point to either a pituitary tumor or a stroke, and just something about his behavior the other day made me feel like it was a tumor. So that may be why his eyes are leaking. I've started him on tumor suppressor 200X, I think it is. It's a homeopathic remedy. I'm giving him arnica 200C. I'm also giving him a little Tylenol. The first couple of days I gave him a little Valium because his stomach sides were sucked in, and I felt like he was in pain. So tonight he doesn't seem to be in pain at all, which is wonderful. He doesn't have any symptoms of pain, just that discomfort from the peripherin around his eyes. So I found that the polysporin kind of breaks it down some, and I just keep cleaning his eyes, and I clipped his nails so he's not going to scratch himself accidentally. He's only taken a few droppers full of food, but I'm showing you this position to show you what position to hold him to feed him in. I'm going to try to feed him from the side of his mouth, and what I'm trying to do is not get food dripped all over him. So if you hold him in this position up against you in your hand like this, then you can get some food in them as much as they'll eat without making a mess all over them. So that's what we're going to do, is try to feed him a few more droppers full of food, try to clean his eyes up a little bit, let him rest, and keep doing that. And I'm sad to say that in the past we've had 2 rats that were in this position, and I listened to some other advice that said, oh, they're limp, they're no longer there, you should put them to sleep. Had I to do it over again, I would give them a few more days and keep taking care of them like this, because he sure doesn't look like he's suffering. He's just looks like he's resting, which is what, from what I understand, stroke victims do. So don't give up on them too soon, and this is what I would suggest for them.